Next is the speakers, and I would like to introduce David Sneath. He is the High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire, Deputy Lieutenant, retired employment judge, and also Colonel in Army Reserve. David.
As a retired colonel in the Army Reserve, or the Territorial Army as it was, and of necessity, any view that I express in the course of what I'm about to say is a personal one and does not represent the view of the armed forces or any other organisation connected. There is plainly a crisis of extremism, whether Islamist or neo-Nazi, but much has been done to prevent its violent manifestations, both at home and in the Middle East. Persecution of religious minorities, whether Christians in Egypt and Iraq or Ahmadiyya Muslims in Pakistan, is an increasingly serious problem as it represents a world trend towards intolerance. So what of the pathway to peace? I start with the truism that often the solution to a problem is the most difficult one. So in international affairs, whilst diplomacy must always be the first resort and pursued for as long as possible, leaders must be willing to confront the bad guys with the potentially disastrous consequences of their policy if they persist in them. Collectively, we have to be strong, as we have to be sometimes in our personal affairs if we are to achieve justice. Thus, the carrots of diplomacy sometimes have to be backed up with a stick of force, however distasteful and frightening that may be. Secondly, we have to keep an open mind and bring to bear on that which seems unlikely a healthy scepticism until more positive evidence emerges, or not, as the case may be. And for evidence, we largely depend on a free and vigorous press that ranges across the spectrum of opinion. Thirdly, we need to engage as widely as possible across communities in order to gain a better understanding of other people's points of view and to suppress what I believe are natural prejudices and predispositions that are the products of our nature and our nurture. Engagement also means we see more of our common humanity and the basic good in most people. Do that, and we and our children can escape the comforting cocoon of cyberspace and relations focused entirely on those whose base instincts we might happen to share. At the outset, I challenge the concept of a world crisis. My wife has reminded me of my propensity to say, "Oh, it's all hopeless," when we experience some minor mishap or inconvenience, usually the state of traffic or delay on public transport. While I don't, of course, mean it literally, it can be an expression of pessimism, always expecting the worst of people and their organisations. Not, of course, that some aren't indeed appalling. But things that are not otherwise easily predictable rarely turn out as we expect. Quite often we're surprised by a good outcome or perversely disappointed because it did not conform to our prejudice. The world is a complex place, and at times we really do have no idea what's going on. At those times, patience is a virtue, because either with time the outcome will become clear, or the problem will have proved to be a mirage and disappeared. A rushed judgment, meanwhile, might have proved not just wrong, but catastrophic. So my conclusion is this: always look for the truth, which may start with the wider truths informed by faith, but will usually finish in a particular set of circumstances with an understanding of the facts as demonstrated by the available evidence. Those facts should then be interpreted through the prism of the moral values we have as a result of faith, for those of faith, and as a result of experience for all of us, including those of no faith. So I say, love for all, hatred for none. Thank you.